G'day folks, it's Jimmy here from whatever it is that I'm doing today, Hard Rock Show, whatever. I am outside Big Mouth Cafe, which is in St Kilda on Ackland Street. And Big Mouth, you would think maybe I'm interviewing Steve Tyler, perhaps? No, I'm not interviewing Steve Tyler. I'm interviewing a legend of the Australian music industry yet again. Today is Mr. Tim Henwood from Palace of the King, Nick Barker's band Plasticine, Rogue Traders. He's done it all. Let's have a chat to him. Let's go. Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is Jimmy here. I am here with another legend of the Australian music industry, a man that knows a lot and has lived a lot. Mr. Tim Henwood.
Jimmy, thanks for having me.
Tim Henwood.
Tim.
Thank you.
Not the first time I've been called that.
Yes. You should have heard me try to pronounce the Heartache State.
Yeah, right.
I'll show you later.
When the camera's rolling, pressure's on.
Yeah. All right. So first question for you. We're going to talk about the Australian music industry and Tim's role in it and his history that he's had in it. And hopefully a few ideas and tips and suggestions for you young bands out there coming through. But I'm going to ask him a couple of personal type questions first.
Well, hello.
Have a listen to this. You have played or been involved with the following.
Yeah.
Nick Barker, Plasticine, Rogue Traders, the Superjesus, the Androids, Electric Mary, Palace of the King. Who have I missed? Anyone?
You've missed lots, but the others are more superficial. So right. Whereas I was just a session guitarist playing with the others.
Yeah. So they're the main ones.
Yeah, they're the bands have been in. I guess you saw. Yeah.
Cool. So I've got them all pretty much.
You've done well.
At this
nice
point,
research.
Yeah, thanks. At this point in your life, are you happy and proud of what you've achieved? Is there somewhere higher you want to go with your music?
Yes, I've never lost the hunger.
Yes, because that was my next question. What keeps you going?
Yeah. I am proud. I'm proud, but not satisfied.
Right.
There have been times where I thought, there you go, we're on our way now, and it hasn't lasted as long as I'd love to, if Plasticine had have been the biggest band in the country, as big as Powderfinger, and we were still doing it now, I would have been a happy man. That's not how it panned out.
No.
I wasn't good enough. I was getting better as a singer, better as a songwriter. We weren't good enough. So anyway, as time goes on, and we're just reinventing and evolving and learning, and I feel like I'm better now than I've ever been. And Palace of the King is I love it. I could just do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Problem is I don't make any money.
That's the issue. So
I have to make money around it until we build it up to a point where hopefully it can be self-sufficient. Yeah. And that's the mission. The mission, if I could just be like the Grateful Dead and just do Palace of the King the rest of my life,
you'd be happy.
I'd be happy. Yeah.
Okay. Because you had some. I mean, you go through that list of bands.
Yeah, there's been some big ones.
Yeah, and there's been some big tours that you've done over the years. This is a pretty broad rimmed question, but what's been your favourite tour out of all of them that you've done, and why was it your favourite tour?
I love touring full stop.
Right.
So I've always, guys, I remember saying this to the guys because I play guitar off and on a lot with Chocolate Starfish, and they're great guys, old friends of mine. Yeah. And when poor old Zoran died, R.I.P., he suggested that they should continue on, and he was happy for me to play guitar and blah blah blah. So off and on, I make their records with them and write songs with Adam and tour with them. Anyway, so they were kind of a bit like, it's a bit more small time from some of the other things you've done, and I said to them, to be totally honest, the little motels in Albury or Mildura or wherever, those little rooms, the what are those? What's that? Mission Brown brick rooms with the one bed and the sink and the funny little shower, and I never feel more comfortable and like I'm where I'm supposed to be than when I'm in one of those rooms.
Wow.
And it's a weird, and they just laughed at me like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I reckon, so I've thought about it, I reckon it's because I started touring when I was so young that it feels safe. And that kind of touring.
Because that's where you started doing it.
When I was a teenager,
Yeah.
when I first started touring with James Rain, for instance, right?
Yeah.
I was still living with mum and dad, and I
Right.
went on tour with him, and I just never went home again. But I was living in these little motel rooms, and I was like, this is the greatest.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I've still had that. I think a lot of guys, which speaks to, people starting out in bands now, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys feel like they get to a level, and then they're like, I'm never going back.
Yeah.
I never want to get in a van and drive anymore. I never want to stay in those shitty motels. And I'm like, I'm happy. I like it.
That's where you are.
And don't get me wrong, give me first class on the plane and and give me a 5-star hotel. I love that too.
Of course.
But the reason, it's not. I'm not doing it for that.
Right.
I'm not doing it for the
rock star lifestyle.
No, I'm doing it because I love doing it. And I'm happy to get in the van and drive and stay in those little motels because I've been doing it my whole life, and I genuinely love it.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
I love it.
That's really interesting. Okay.
So anyway, I just feel really comfortable and at home
Yeah.
in those funny little places. It's funny.
Was Nick Barker the first... I know you just mentioned playing with James Rain.
James was before Nick.
Right.
So...
How old were you when you started with James Rain?
19, I think. So that was a big deal for me. And my brother, who's 4 years older than me, it was a bigger deal for him than it was for me.
Yeah, of course.
And but it was a big deal. And I was very nervous. But I got the desk tape. And it all came about through Cam McKenzie from Horsehead.
Yeah? Right.
He was my mentor. So when I first met Cam when I first started driving. So I was 18 and I was in this sort of band. We were like Living Colour.
Right.
We weren't as good. We were called Delta Moon Drivers.
Right.
We were like bluesy, funky, experimental rock.
And was Cam in that band as well?
No, but Cam was in 21 Guns at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to support 21 Guns and Jimmy the Human, Inspector 7, and later on Josie Jason and the Argonauts after she left Jimmy's band. With that kind of pub rock around Melbourne.
They were awesome days.
Oh, they were great.
Yeah.
And so we were in that, and I just gravitated toward Cam because he was so good and still is.
He's awesome.
And anyway, Cam was playing with James, and the reason why I got my foot in the door as a kid was because of Cam.
Right.
He was playing with James. He said, "I've got it," because that's when. I don't know if you remember when Horsehead. It looked like they were going to be bigger than Metallica.
Shit, yeah.
For a moment there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were such a great band.
Should have been.
And so that was happening. Rusty probably talked about Horsehead as well.
Yeah.
But that was all happening. So Cam had to leave. He couldn't do a session gig playing for James. He needed to go and do his band.
Absolutely.
And he said, but check out this kid. Check out Tim.
Wow.
Because him and I were already quite tight by that point.
Yeah.
And I'd had a couple of lessons with him and gone around to his house and asked him to show me some things, and I was picking his brain.
Yeah.
I loved his playing.
Yeah, he's a great player.
21 Guns, he was just as good. And then Horsehead were better for me because they were heavier.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how that came about. And luckily for me, well, interestingly, I don't want to go on about it too long, but I auditioned and didn't get the gig.
Oh.
Because they wanted Cam to say. They were like, no, we're not going to get anyone new. We want you. So there was this big rotating door at the old, whatever Deluxe used to be called.
Yeah.
No one got the gig. Cam kept the gig, and then they were like a month on the tour, and then Cam said, "I've got to go and do Horsehead.
Yeah.
I've been told we're going to America or whatever."
Yeah,
they were doing.
yeah.
I got a desk tape. That was like, okay, you are going to do the gig now.
Right.
Cam's going. I got a desk tape in the mail, and old school,
Yeah,
and just sat there like I think I had a week, and I just played it every day, all day, every day.
Yeah.
I knew it inside out.
That's awesome.
Got to that first gig, nervous as fuck.
Yeah, you would have been.
And
19.
But I knew it so well, it didn't matter how nervous I was.
Yeah.
Because it just was coming out of me, and I was just going, my heart was going, and my brain was going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But my hands were just doing it.
Right. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And it worked out really well.
That's awesome. And
so then
from
I've played with James off and on ever since.
Yeah.
I haven't played with him for a few years now because I've been too busy with Palace. But
yeah, and at that time he would have been pretty big. You've been playing.
Yeah, he had a
big
best of
gigs.
album out. So yeah. I mean, he was past his first peak.
Yeah.
He's obviously having another peak now.
Yeah.
He's always been successful
Always,
on a
isn't he?
level. You know,
Yeah.
when you've had that many hit songs
Yeah.
and you're that good.
Yeah.
But you imagine being 19, Jimmy, and being in a little band in Melbourne, supporting 21 Guns, and then playing with John Watson on the drums,
Oh,
and
yes.
James Rain, and Mark Gray on the bass,
would've been
you know,
unbelievable.
and John McCall, and I'm playing with these guys. Going, I was just like, whoa! I lifted up a level and was riding the wave, going,
Yeah.
I got better real quick.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you'd have to.
It was great.
That's really interesting.
I loved it. It was good times, and things were simple. You know, I was just like, pfft.
Definitely. Now, one question I've been meaning to ask you for a long time, and I'm guessing this, but are you a full-time musician? Mm-hmm. That is your job. You are a musician.
Yeah.
There's not many of us
No.
that do that.
Well, people
But he
comment.
does.
People comment on when I post things on social media. I keep my private life off social media,
Yeah.
but I post what I'm the activity that I'm doing musically.
Of course.
And there's always lots of different stuff.
Yes.
And people post it, how are you doing it? And it's like, well, it's my job for starters. And if I don't do it, I can't pay the bills.
That's right.
So just,
So how hard, take me through that, how hard is it to be a full-time musician these days? And what's a day in the life at Tim Henwood like when you're working? Because you've done so many different things.
yeah.
Probably depends on what you're doing.
Well, yesterday we were filming. Palace of the King was filming 4 songs for Guitar Gods and Masterpieces.
Oh yeah, cool.
With Dave,
Yeah.
and so we were filming live and recording it and all that. So during the day, I was practicing the songs, just making sure I had it right, because you don't want to do too many takes; it's
Yeah.
wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
Day before that, we rerehearsed.
Yeah.
Today, I drove down from Torquay to speak to you, which is not work, by the way.
Visit me.
But there's a lot more. I'm trying to finish a new Palace of the King album at the moment.
Yeah, cool.
So I've got a studio at home.
Awesome.
None of those things are making me any money, but only 2 weeks ago I finished School of Rock. So I was playing guitar in the pit.
Yep. We're
And
going to get to that.
I get occasionally asked to do these things because I'm more right for certain shows than the general theatre guys.
Right.
Because I come from the genuine rock world.
Yeah.
But generally, those guys are better readers than I am. So they'll get the more standard theatre stuff. But every now and then I get asked to come in and look, because I can read fine, I can keep up with them. But sometimes they want me there to do certain shows like that,
Right.
which is great. I take that as a huge compliment.
Absolutely. Because, do you ever sort of not struggle? The word I want to use a word, but not really struggle. But do you? I was just using
Sometimes it's a struggle, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is.
Do you? Yeah. So, are you constantly sort of on the lookout for more work, or does it come
Yeah.
to you, or how?
Very. But I think, as I'm in a point now where there's nothing in my diary. Actually, there's 2 gigs in my diary for the rest of my life.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're next week.
Yeah. Right.
So that's something to get used to.
Yeah.
But it's no different than being the guy who does the decking or that builds the pergolas.
Self-employed business owner.
Unless there's work, if there's no work coming up, you start getting a bit,
Yeah.
hello, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, I've worked with so many people. People find out that I'm not busy,
Yep.
and then they start calling me. Even if it's just as simple as down the coast over summer, sometimes there's lots of solo acoustic gigs come
so
up.
you do a lot
I'll
of
do that.
those. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
Got to pay the bills, and it's fun. I'm playing my music. I'm working on my craft.
Yeah.
Keeps my voice working.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fun.
Because there's a lot of people out there that won't. Maybe they think it's they're above it. They won't sort of
Yeah.
lower themselves
Totally.
to do it, isn't it?
I totally think that is. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any quality control, because I get that.
Yeah.
There should be.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing less gigs, but maybe the ones you are doing more lucrative, is better than doing 10 gigs a week with not much financial return because you're sort of devaluing. I hate to say it because it sounds so corporate. You're devaluing your brand.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of, there's got to be a balancing act, but I've always been one to, mate, my dad's a plumber and my brother's a builder.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad made me do my apprenticeship as a carpenter because I wanted to leave school.
So you can build tables?
I can build tables.
Beautiful.
But I haven't done it in a long time, but I wanted to leave school.
Yeah.
And they said you can leave school as long as you get a trade.
Yeah, right.
Which is standard.
Yeah, of course.
For Western suburbs, growing up, working class.
Yeah.
Everyone in your family's a tradesman. But I think that working ethic, I've just applied it to music.
Yeah.
I'm basically just always working. But anyway, people just talk and say, "Oh, Henwood's available," and so I get calls, and it's all just friends. It's not people. Cynical people say, "Oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know," and that's bullshit.
Right.
Because if you're my mate,
yeah,
and you're doing theatre shows,
yeah,
right, and you know I'm not good enough,
yeah,
you're not going to get me to do it,
yeah,
because if you get me to do it and you know I'm not good enough, and everyone else is going to look at Jimmy and go, "The fuck did you get him in for? He's not good." I know he's your mate, but you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as it's not what you know, it's who you know. But
you've got to be good enough.
It plays a part.
Yeah.
But unless you're good enough, forget about it. And
that's interesting.
And I know everyone's different. And don't get me wrong, I would love to always get along with everyone I'm working with. It doesn't always happen.
No.
Sometimes I don't get along with people.
Yeah.
But if they're good, if you and I are in a band and I don't like you, but you're fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Let's go on. What are you going to do? This guy's unreal. When we play music, it's magic. I have a great time.
So there's a respect.
Totally.
Yeah.
But if you're a dickhead and you're shit,
forget
about it.
Yeah.
You know. But if you're good and a nice bloke, mate,
that's awesome.
What more do you need?
That's good. That's good advice. See, listen to him.
Yeah. But don't be cynical. It's too easy to throw your hands in the air and go, "Oh, it's not what you know. It's who you know." No, it's bullshit. If you're good, eventually people gravitate towards you.
Yeah, that's right.
The reason why Jimmy Hocking and Cam McKenzie and Josie and these people, and eventually the James Rain gig, and then those people all became my friends and started recommending me, was because I was good. Yep. And I was a kid. Yeah. And they've gone, let me get that fly for you. Thanks. They've gone, he doesn't want to fly in his head while we're talking. You can edit that bit out. They go, "Oh, here's this young kid. We've never heard of him. We've just met him. He comes. He's bloody good." I'm like a new discovery for them.
Yeah, and you would have been hungry as well.
Oh, mate, I would have done anything.
You want it, yeah.
Yeah,
that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Really still hungry now, but I'm not fresh and young anymore.
No,
but I've got those guys in the band.
Yeah.
Like Shawnee and Anthony.
Yeah.
They're in their early 20s and
so they're the ones
really good. They're great. And I often, for anyone who looks into Palace of the King, and you see Shawnee Johnson, who plays guitar and keyboards. He's very talented, and I see I've been playing with him in Palace since he was 19.
Wow, yeah, okay.
And so I
the circle.
Yeah, and I look at it and I go, you know what? He was a kid then, and you look at photos, but not as a person. And you look at it as his development now, and now I look to him. I go, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
You tell me, and I'll just go, here's a guitar solo. You do it, because you're really good.
Yeah.
It's rather than me going, jeez, I can't stand here and listen to this guy. I could do it better. It's not that.
That's good. That's good that you've got a band like that.
I love it.
Yeah, people like that in your band.
Get the young blokes in, mate.
Yeah.
And girls.
Yeah, that's right. And girls as well. Okay, cool. Now, what is your opinion on the lack, possibly, of mainstream media support for new rock bands in Australia? Do you think it matters that there's a lack?
Doesn't matter.
What's your opinion on it? What do you?
My opinion is mainstream media is almost dead.
Yes.
And it's all about social media, and it's never been easier to promote your band.
Yes.
Without wanting to sound like a dinosaur, back in the day, you had to put ads, quarter-page ads, strip ads in the street press, and you had to make sure you were in the gig guide in the newspapers, and all these things cost money. So by the time you did your gig and paid for your advertising costs, because a quarter-page ad in street press was expensive.
Bloody oath.
Basically, it was the fee that you were getting.
Yeah.
And then your sound guy, and then your lighting guy.
You're losing money.
And then you're doing a mail-out.
Yeah.
Doing a mail-out.
Yeah.
You know, did you ever do that?
Yeah, I had a typewriter at home, used to do newsletters.
So you're doing that. That's time. It eats a lot of time up. Yeah. And it's also, you're paying for the postage. Not to mention the trees.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, I think it's actually... Mainstream media doesn't matter.
No.
And I'm not saying I don't like mainstream media. Mainstream media wanted to cover something for what I was doing. I'd embrace that and go, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I love it.
You're not reliant on it. We shouldn't be reliant on it.
No, because it's becoming less and less relevant. And the younger the people, the less relevant it is to.
Yeah.
You know, so older people, like younger people aren't on Facebook, for instance.
No.
But a lot of our peers are on Facebook, and that's their main form of communication and promotion for their gigs and things. That's okay, because their peers are on there as well.
Yes.
But if you were wanting to get a younger audience...
Yeah, you wouldn't be doing it.
You wouldn't bother with Facebook.
No.
You'd be on Snapchat and Instagram. And
that's where the kids are at.
But social media is just such an easy way to... As long as you're doing a good job of it, you know, and being interesting about it and not just being... It's hard to... I sometimes feel a pang of guilt almost. Like, all I'm doing is promoting the gigs and stuff, and then you know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
It's kind of like, I feel like such a sellout, and then you kind of go, well, how else is anyone going to know what you're doing, mate? And so the other part of my brain goes, just relax, mister.
Yeah.
That's the only way they're going to know.
Because I think there's bands out there that think that they over promote themselves on social media, and you probably can, but like you say, like, how else are people going to know?
That's the only way they're going to know. Because if mainstream media aren't embracing you, the only way they're going to know is by promoting it on social media. And obviously you've got to do it tastefully and be careful how you do it if you want to. If you don't want to be tasteful and you want to be over the top, that's your thing, go for it. Then you might be a hip hop artist and go nuts, right? There's no rules, basically. And as you know, it's what we do in Australia is different from other parts of the world. So if you or I were promoting this, your podcast, and we were American guys living in California, we'd probably promote the hell out of it more than we will.
Yeah, it's a different
Only because
culture.
we're kind of a bit like, it's way different culture. We're a bit like, ugh. I want people to think, Jesus Christ, Jimmy, what are you doing?
What a dickhead, why is he doing this?
Henwood girl, he's always promoting his bloody self with Jimmy. That's only an Australian thing.
Yeah, right, okay.
Nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. So that's how we end up with these great bands that spring up from the working class, like AC/DC and Rose Tattoo and the Angels, because it's no bullshit.
Yeah.
It's no bullshit.
That's always been the way for Australia.
Yeah. Well, what do you got? You got, Motley Crue, and you got Rose Tattoo. So it's like, called Guns N' Roses and Rose Tattoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Motley Crue and I love Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
But Jesus, Rose Tattoo's the one that's genuine.
Yeah, because that's
real.
Right. Ground level, real,
Bloody,
that's right.
The drummer's in prison.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, there's no bullshit.
It's true. Yes.
And he's not in prison for, bullshit.
No.
It's legit.
Yeah.
They're legit.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
It's an Australian thing.
Australian thing.
Which is a great thing.
So talking about that then, do you think that Aussie bands should be heading overseas for success? Like,
yep.
Yeah. How hard or how easy is it? You've done it. You've been
it's not
overseas
easy
on tours.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's not hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done more overseas touring with Palace of the King than I have with any other band.
Right. Okay.
And the way I got my head around it, which is what you have to do, a lot of people will sit at home and say, well, I'm not going if I'm going to lose money.
Yeah, that's right.
You're already in trouble, right?
Yeah. Or
I'm not going unless I've got my own room. It's like, you've got to use it as an experience and as I feel like the best way to get your head around it, especially that first tour, is to use it as an experience, as something that's going to nourish you as a person.
Yeah.
Regardless of everything else. Just go. If you can go, I'm going to have this great experience and see 8 countries in Europe,
Yep.
touring around
Yeah.
with my mates,
Yeah.
and we're going to play our music and hopefully start building a fan base. What do you got to lose? You got nothing to lose.
So when Palace of the King went over the first time, did anyone know who the band was? Was there much promo done
We had
on
a
that?
label in France.
Right.
We were signed to Listenable on the first
yeah.
couple of records,
Yeah.
and so they'd done some promotion, and there was some awareness.
Yeah.
But we were playing rooms like the Evelyn,
Yeah.
to a couple of hundred people.
Right.
On some nights, early in the week, you play a Tuesday night in a tiny little place, and there'd be 100 people.
That's awesome.
But it was all, mate. Even if there was no one there, I was just going,
It doesn't matter, yeah.
"Where are we? This is amazing."
Yeah. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that, like saying, "Oh, well, what's the point of going over there if no one's going to come and see us because no one knows who we are?"
Yeah, well, you're already defeated. There's no use. I'm not saying be reckless,
No.
but you have to. You're either in or you're not. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And you've got to be honest. So if you just want to be big in Melbourne and be like the king of the nightclubs and go, I'm the king of Cherry Bar, that's fine as long as everyone in the band is on the same page.
Yes.
That's what we want. We want to pack Cherry Bar out,
Yeah.
get free drugs, lots of girls. I'm a happy man, and I'll go to work during the day
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
pay my bills that way, right?
Yeah.
But I can't be in a band with those guys because that's not what it's about. I didn't grow up wanting to be that guy.
Yeah.
I grew up wanting to be in Kiss or
Right.
AC/DC.
I was just going to say,
You know what I mean?
Kiss, yeah.
I just wanted to be in a really big band, writing songs and playing guitar, and so that's what I just keep trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone
So it's
because of the commitment.
yeah, that's right.
Because then if you go there, you go, right, well, there's going to be some years, mate, without wanting to get too specific and too into the minutiae of my personal details, there was one year where Palace of the King was so busy, and because I make my money playing guitar, basically,
Yeah.
I couldn't do any gigs with anyone except Palace of the King.
Wow.
So that's when I stopped playing with James, because James went, mate, you're too busy.
Yeah.
You can't. I've
you
got to
can't
get someone
commit.
else,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and I there was a year there where I made 20 grand, gross, and that was trying to work things around Palace of the King. And I don't know if you know, and your listeners
Yeah.
might or might not think that's a lot of money. That's not a lot of money.
No.
That's hard. And
Bloody
that wasn't
oath.
enough to live off.
No way.
No, I was going backwards. So I was just redrawing money out of my home loan,
Yeah.
to live off it.
Wow.
But I was freaking out. Don't get me wrong.
You would be.
But I was driving in myself and the band, but I wasn't, the sole person driving the band. We were all doing it together. Driving forward, and I know you've got to be committed, because the guys who go, I've thought about this a lot. You know how record labels don't want to sign older
Yes.
guys and girls,
Yes.
right? You know why?
Why?
Because they won't do that.
Yeah.
99.999% of people will go, oh nah,
Yeah.
what am I going to do about paying the bills?
I've got kids and all that.
Yeah, when they're of that age,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't blame A&R guys, and well, not that record companies matter so much anymore anyway.
No.
They really don't matter at all.
No.
If you're in that situation and someone says, nah, I don't want to sign your band because you're all a bit old, I understand.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, I get it. Because
True.
you're worried they're not going to,
Because the record
they're not
company,
going to commit.
That's right. So the record company needs to make money, and so they need
Totally.
the band to be doing
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And if you're signing Greta Van Fleet, poor bugger lost his voice, but put that to one side.
Yeah.
If you're signing Greta Van Fleet, all they want to do is travel around the world
Yeah.
and screw girls in other countries and have a good time and play their music and, pretend that they're Led Zeppelin back in Led Zeppelin's heyday, which is fine.
I'm going to get to that too.
Yeah, no, I quite like Greta Van Fleet, but what I'm saying is, I would sign them because they've got no commitments.
That's right.
Just
That's
go,
exactly.
take us, and they're brothers,
Yeah.
which tops it all off.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you were their parents, you'd
Yeah.
just go, boys, look after each other, please.
Yeah, off you go.
And they're just traveling the world, having a good time. There's no No one's going to put down him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. You know.
Yeah, that's right. They're just out there going.
I get
for
it.
That does.
But
make
that
a
rule
lot of
doesn't
sense.
apply. It's not a rule. You've got it. There are, guys like myself who are, I guess veterans of the business in some way.
You're a veteran.
I'm not a veteran like the people that I learnt from, but
yeah. You will be though one day.
Well, of course. Won't we all?
Yes.
I hope. I want to be a veteran.
Yes.
So I don't want to kick the bucket too early.
No, exactly. More things to achieve.
True.
Now, okay, so before I turn my page here, because I've got
Yep.
more questions on the other page. So, considering that you started around the late 80s, around 90, around that time, what's the big difference that you've noticed now? And do you think that new bands have it easier now?
I don't think it's easier, just different.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a different industry, isn't it?
Here it is a way different industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
And streaming, like I've really embraced streaming lately. Mm-hmm. Not from a business perspective.
No.
But well, from a business perspective, no, it doesn't. Having had songs that were hits and getting that those APRA royalty checks
Yes.
at different points in my career,
Yes.
like that's kind of gone,
Right.
which is a shame to say the least.
Yeah, obviously, yes.
You got to generate your income out doing gigs.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like when Led Zeppelin started, and the Beatles and Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
You made your money. The record promoted the gigs, and you made your money playing live. So if you're not willing to play live, unless you're a hip hop artist at the moment,
Yeah.
you're probably wasting everyone's time. And get out of the way, because you're just muddying the bloody waters. There's too many bands out there.
So many.
Yeah.
Anyone can put a record out now.
Oh, which is lovely and all that, and good on them. But Jesus, but the industry's changed heaps. But I don't think it's harder or easier. And the example I always use in my head, and I don't know if I've ever told anyone this. I remember. Do you know Wayne Gale?
Yeah.
Great bloke.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
Used to run the Corner Hotel
Yes.
in its heyday, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he had the Rolling Stones there,
Mate,
didn't he?
in its heyday. So when that place was pumping,
Yeah.
Wayne was, I know it's doing really well now too, which is great. I remember him saying to me one night at the Corner Hotel, "Oh, you should have been here 10 years ago. It was way bigger and better back then." People used to come to gigs back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking, I was an 18-year-old kid,
Yeah.
and he was saying that. I'm like, so when I hear people say that to me now, I'm like, nah, it's not the case. It's never been the heyday.
No.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just always from the perspective of, like, for instance, if you were Greta Van Fleet, you'd be thinking the music industry's gold right now.
You would be.
Yeah. Or Amy Shark or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Name anyone who's successful at the moment. It's the heyday.
Yeah, they're
the
loving
music industry's great at the moment.
Yeah.
It's all about your perspective.
I guess when I think of the heyday,
Yeah.
I'm coming from that late 80s period where you had all those Aussie bands
Yep.
on Triple M or Eon FM or whatever it was called.
Yeah, well,
back then.
that was a really good time for Australian
Yeah.
radio, music on radio.
Yeah, and so that's obviously changed now.
Yeah.
But I've talking to you about it today, and I spoke to Nick Barker about it
Yep.
a couple of weeks ago, and Rusty, and even Brad from Massive. And yeah, it seems to be the case that everyone agrees that you don't need it anymore. So like I know of bands that are desperate to get their music on Triple M.
Yep.
And you don't need to be anymore.
No.
Because there's so many other options.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they rely on it.
Yeah. No, you can't rely on it. It's great if it happens.
Yeah, of course.
But you can't rely on it.
No.
And I don't blame them for not. They're running a business.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a music business.
No.
It's a money-making business, right? So
Advertising.
If they're worried about playing certain songs because they're not convinced that the advertisers are going to and the listeners are going to switch, they've got their whole other paradigm that they're working on. That's fine.
Yep.
Let them go. Do
your own thing. Yeah.
But as you know, there was a time. Someone get that phone.
Yeah.
There was a time from the heyday, late 80s, to now, in the middle,
Yes.
where Australian radio fucked Australian bands.
Yes.
Fucked them over.
Why?
Didn't play them enough.
What?
Because, well, rules and regulations changed. There was a time where, without wanting to get too political, there was a time where, when Paul Keating was around, where there was Australian content was required.
It was like 25%.
There was Australian content required.
Yeah.
Even at a gig at Rod Laver, you had to have an Australian band support.
I spoke to Rusty about that.
All that stuff's gone.
Yeah, because I
gone.
thought that was still around. They changed all that.
Yeah, they changed it.
Well,
It's
who-
been changed.
who and
and it's
why?
been slowly and incrementally changed, and a little bit more and a little bit. Mate, ads. Ads don't have to be made in Australia. All those ads we used to have were made in Australia.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to sell your product in Australia, you're an American company, you had to make an Australian ad.
So you
don't
couldn't-
have to anymore. I think they may have to do the voiceover. I don't know. Someone will be able to look this up. I think they may have to redo the voiceover now these days, but they may not even have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I think they can just whack an American ad on Australian TV now.
It's all to do with the US and trade agreement and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I understand, it's way above my pay grade. I get that there's bigger things at stake than my little world, and you can't go, oh, it's not fair for me. There's a whole country and there's 30 million people and 300 million people over there.
Yeah.
I get it. It just was, but it was frustrating for a long time there.
It was.
There was no support. Well, I shouldn't say no support, because I got some support a few times.
Yeah.
But there was little support.
Yeah.
No risk taking. No backing new bands.
No.
But it doesn't matter now. But we're talking along. If I was a new band now, I wouldn't. If you were Amel and the Sniffers, would you be worried about commercial radio playing you?
No.
Of course not.
Not at all.
Because in
Couldn't care less.
5 years' time,
No.
I mean, it's all internet based.
Yeah. There's so many radio
Podcasts are the
stations.
biggest form of bloody entertainment, and mate,
It's unbelievable.
people are after information.
Interesting.
People want more,
They do, and they want it now.
and they don't want to be, but they don't want to be spoon fed the set box of things. Here's what everyone gets.
Yes.
People don't want that anymore.
No, they don't. They're looking around for outside things.
Yeah.
Now, you've been part of a few musicals, which we spoke about earlier, very briefly. Been in the house band, in the Pit.
In the Pit, mate.
School of Rock was the latest one.
Yep.
And I know you've done others, which I was looking up and trying to find them, and I can't. But you obviously know which ones they were, that you can tell us.
I remember some of them. Yep.
Yeah. And you kind of covered it off, but how you got into that side of the industry. But how is that different to like the standard rock and roll band, dealing with other musicians who might be not, rock and roll type
Different,
people?
yeah, they're different. Come from a different world.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's almost a clash of
Totally
two
different
worlds.
world. Yeah.
So how is that, and what do you prefer? I know which one you prefer, but
Yeah,
I think I do.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but what other musicals have you done, and what is it like day to day doing that stuff?
It's great. I love doing it.
Yeah.
And I every day, I constantly have, every time I do a show, there'll be a few times I sit down in front of the music stand, I pick up my guitar, I tune it up, and I sit down and I go, thank God Mum and Dad put me through guitar lessons.
Yes.
And I say it to them. I
Yeah.
say, thank you.
Yeah.
You provided me with a skill.
Yep.
Because I didn't start doing shows until 2011.
Right.
So that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
And I stumbled into it only because a friend of mine, James Kempster,
Right.
he and I were playing in Mark Seymour's band when when Hunters first split up and Mark went solo. I was in Mark's solo band,
Right.
and James was the bass player, and so he and I we became fast friends, and we've always gotten along really well. Quite different as people, but
Yeah.
in a great way.
Yeah.
I love him. So, that was, late 90s. So from the late 90s, James and I have been mates.
Yeah.
In 2011, he gets me this gig. That's a long time, right?
Bloody oath.
And that's not like, it just was accidental. It was. He said to me, "Oh, I knew there'd be a show that'd come up one day for you.
Yeah.
This is the right one."
Which one was it?
He didn't want to throw me into the pit and go, everyone have a look at him and go, well, James, why did you get this guy in? Because that's bad for him, right?
Yes.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me to do it. I wasn't asking him for it. I was just like, the Rock of Ages comes up in 2011. Right?
Yeah. Jeez, that's good.
So they contact me and ask me if I'm interested in auditioning to be part of the cast.
Right.
Just because they're a lot of people in bands.
Yes.
Because it ended up, Justin from End of Fashion ended up being the main guy in the show.
Yeah.
So they were approaching people who were in big bands in the early 2000s.
Right.
And there was never going to be a part for me if you know anything about the show. You look at the show and you go, there's no where could he be? Justin was great in it.
Yeah.
And
he was.
And James just said to me, mate, you don't want to be in the cast, you want to be in the band.
Yeah,
because we were on
behind the
stage
scenes. Yeah,
playing,
that's right.
it was cool.
Yeah.
And so that's the first show I did.
Right.
From there, I just kept getting asked to do shows
Yes.
because like the musical director of that show or
Nice.
James will say,
Yeah.
and after that I've just done a heap of them. Grease a few times.
Grease, I
which
didn't
was
know you were in
unreal.
Grease. Wow.
Like playing Chuck Berry basically.
Yeah, right.
But the first show I ever did in the pit, I'd never even sat in the pit.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it.
No, you go on the edge, you look over, and there they are sitting
Yeah,
down there.
it was weird. It was after Rock of Ages, and it was Moonshadow, the Cat Stevens show.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was, to meet him and work with him, your first gig in the pit.
Of course, yeah, you had met him.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And there were two guitarists. And the other guitarist was Doug DeVries. And I don't know if you know Doug.
No.
He's a legend of the music industry, Australian music industry. He's
Right.
an incredible jazz guitarist, just an incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
As it turned out, the more we got to know each other, he was good friends with both of my guitar teachers when I was growing up.
Oh, right.
Which is bizarre.
Small world, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, so anyway, I had this great experience that was really stressful. Because it was the first time I had to sit there and read the music
Yeah.
since I was a kid.
Yeah, right.
It's not like riding a bike.
No.
It took a long time for me to get the skills back up.
Yeah.
I worked really hard, and I spent weeks practicing and going over it all before we get to the first rehearsal. The other guys hadn't even looked at it. They just opened the book and started
and
playing.
just play.
Yeah.
That's where the different world comes in.
Mate, so different.
Did they look at you like, who's this bloody,
No.
dirty rock guy coming in? Or?
No. I'm sure because I've done quite a few shows since then. I'm sure sometimes there's that.
Yeah.
But I've never felt it. Everyone.
They're respectful.
Yeah, and I can, regardless of what happens with the dots, which I'm okay at, but not as good as them. Regardless of what happens with the dots, it depends on. It's all about the sound you make and how well you play.
Yeah. Was that 7 nights a week? Or 7 days?
No,
a week?
usually it's 8 shows a week.
Right.
But you've got Monday off. Thankfully, with School of Rock, we had Monday and Tuesday off. But it's exhausting living down the coast.
Yeah, coming up every day.
3 hours a day in the car.
Yeah.
But that was the School of Rock one was a great band. That was Simon Hosford was the other guitarist.
Yeah,
Well, there were
you
2
would
other
have had fun with him.
guitarists, Tim Hartwig.
Yeah.
But Simon and I have been mates since guitar mates since for a long time, since the 90s.
Yeah.
So to play a show together was great, and
Really
he's
great
such
fun.
a shredder.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw this on Facebook. Did you wear? Was it a different Kiss T-shirt every day?
Well, it wasn't. It was a different rock T-shirt.
Different rock
but
T-shirt.
a lot of them were Kiss T-shirts. Yeah, because it was bizarre. We get to we were at rehearsals, and I'm just wearing my black jeans and my band T-shirts, Metallica or Kiss or AC/DC or whoever.
Yeah.
And then we get to the first show, which was like a dress rehearsal.
Yep.
So there was no audience, but it was dress rehearsal. And I realised, because I live in Torquay, it's a long way from Melbourne, and I just had my T-shirt and my jeans on. I went,
Shit,
I didn't bring like a nice shirt for dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I went up to the musical director, Laura, and I said, look, I'm really sorry, I don't have a shirt. Do you want me to go and buy one? Because I'll go to Target and grab one now. And she said, oh, I forgot to tell you, what you're wearing, that's what we want people in the pit to wear in the band, rock T-shirts.
Cool. Yeah,
and I went, really? And she said, yeah. And it's a total accident. So then I said, well, I've got lots of rock T-shirts at home. And she said, oh, yeah, just scruffy blacks, as long as it's
awesome.
black.
Yeah.
So I wore a different one the next day, and a different one the next day. And I was looking at my pile of T-shirts in my cupboard.
Yeah.
I said to the guys, you know what? I reckon I'm going to be able to do every show without repeating. And they just went, no. And I said, I'm kind of embarrassed because it's kind of a bit weird for a guy of my vintage to have that many rock t-shirts, but I'd never throw them away.
No.
You would relate, right?
I do relate, but my wife tends to make some disappear.
No, that's
she
not
denies
cool.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool. Because I still
Anyway.
Kiss t-shirts from when I was a kid, you know,
yeah.
or I'll buy a Kiss t-shirt at the reunion show at Rod Laver, right? So I
Yeah.
bought all the styles
Yeah.
and I just put them away and just go, collectible.
How many have you got?
Well,
Hundreds.
you know, hundreds.
Shit.
Hundreds. So I just kept rotating them, and I didn't even get into my, because I hate wearing my own band's t-shirts because it'd be embarrassing.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like
Yeah.
you're out promoting yourself.
Yeah.
So I didn't even get into my own t-shirts. I started getting near the end of the show going, God, I've made a big deal about this. I can't repeat. I'm going to even just have to go and buy one if I have to. And then I thought, no, I know what I'll do. And I found like a plastics, you know, one of those shrinky bags.
Yeah.
And it was full of Superjesus and Plasticine and the
cool.
Androids and Rogue Traders and Palace of the King t-shirts. And I thought, worst case, I'll start wearing my own t-shirts.
Yeah. Wow.
But gee, there were a lot of Kiss t-shirts.
That is unreal.
I didn't
like
realise
that
how many
story.
I had, mate.
Yeah.
Because I've had them since I was a kid. You collect them.
Yeah, of course.
And the ones, as you know, the ones from when we were kids, they're
Some
worth
worth
something.
heaps,
Not
isn't
only sentimentally, but they're just there, yeah.
I saw a Metallica one from when they came out here the first time,
Yep.
Justice Tour.
Oh, yeah, Festival Hall.
Yeah, and it was worse. They were selling it in one of the vintage stores.
Yeah.
It was like $350.
Mate, I was at that gig. I wish I had bought a few t-shirts.
Yeah, I had one and it ripped everywhere and I ended up throwing it.
Yeah, they start falling apart.
Yeah,
That's real sad.
yeah.
I've got a Nick Barker and the Reptiles t-shirt. Because, you know, I used to go and see the Reptiles. I loved the Reptiles when I was a kid.
Before you were with him, yeah.
Mate, before I was in any big band,
Yeah.
I'd go and see the Reptiles. I'd go and see Johnny Diesel and the Injectors.
yeah.
You know, that was my.
Yeah.
I love that shit. And good Aussie bluesy pub rock,
Yeah.
but heavy, a bit heavy. You know,
Yeah.
I used to go and see the Reptiles all the time, and I had this really cool, the old logo with the spanners.
Yep.
I still got it, but it's starting to fall apart, so I don't wear it anymore. So I don't want to wash it.
Will he give you a new one?
I got a new one. I bought one of those new ones,
from the
which is
gig
really
last
good
year?
design. Yeah.
Nice.
He's always had good merch, old Barky boy.
Yeah. Very good match. Now, your opinion on new rock bands coming through. You've talked about Greta Van Fleet
Yep.
and I'm going to say the Struts, those type of bands. Do you feel that rock is starting to build again? We were talking a bit about punk before.
Yep.
And how that's
I feel
really
like
building.
punk's got a natural, what's the word, organic
Yeah.
buzz about it. It seems that way in Melbourne. I don't know how that is in other cities. And, you know, Melbourne's just one city in the world. Seems to be a lot of buzz on punk bands. And I think that, you know, probably younger kids are... You know how everyone turned against hair metal?
Yes.
And you read The Dirt?
Yes.
You read The Dirt? And you know that
Absolutely.
bit where they're touring around doing stadiums and then suddenly they're on a bus doing clubs?
Yeah.
Because Nirvana had just gone
Yeah.
BAM! And
Yeah.
blown everyone out of the water.
And that was it. It was all over.
Because it was real and it was real. And people were sick of, you know, these over... As much as I love Motley Crue and the book, and it came full circle and they came back anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
But there was a time where people just went, I don't want this bullshit being shoved down my throat. I want something real. And they looked at Nirvana as that. And then all the other bands that came, you know, that whole Seattle scene.
Yeah.
So-
we had to all put our hairspray away.
Exactly. You know,
And our eyeliner.
what are you going to do? But, and Guns N' Roses were just so... They just scraped in.
Yeah.
They, if you look at the early photos, Axl looks like he's in a hairband. But then by the time Sweet Child comes out, like, you know... It's Welcome to the Jungle where he's got the big hair, right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
and then by the time Sweet Child comes, he's got the hair down and the bandana,
Yeah,
and you
it's
go,
changed.
right. That. By the time Sweet Child came, it was like, yep, there you go. That's LA Rose Tattoo.
Yeah.
And they
right.
nailed it.
Yeah, true.
They
Good
nailed
point.
it. Great band, great
Yeah,
album.
Yeah.
But to be more specific about rock music, if putting punk to one side, I think bands like Greta Van Fleet and Rival Sons
Yeah.
and
Rival
Struts
Sons, yeah.
are I hope, I feel like it's the start of what hopefully can be a rock and roll renaissance.
Yes.
But it's not gonna. People think when they think rock and roll renaissance, does that mean rock's going to be back on Triple M and on Channel 9?
Yeah.
No. You take all of those old paradigms out of the equation because they don't exist anymore.
No, that's right.
It's going to mean, a rock band getting 1 billion streams on Spotify, like a hip hop band.
Yep.
Or hip hop artist.
That's true. Yes.
That's when the renaissance
That's where
occurs.
it's at, yeah.
And it's totally possible.
Yeah.
But the whole way the world works now is so different. The renaissance we might not even know. What are they? You know how they say that we're in the middle of a mass extinction event?
Yes.
Scientifically, right?
Yep.
We don't know it because we're in it.
That's right.
Same with
we're
climate
either
change.
here or we're not.
Yeah. Same with climate change. You kind of go, it doesn't feel that different. I know it was, 37 today and 30 yesterday.
Yeah.
Because our time frame, even our whole life, is such a short. We don't really. We only experience the edges of these big changes. Yeah. But if you were here for 1,000 years, you go, "Oh, Jesus Christ!"
Yeah,
it was obvious what was going on,
Yeah.
but you can't see it.
No.
So we may not even know when the rock and renaissance happens.
But you can feel it.
I can feel it, and you know why? Because, like I was going to say, Greta Van Fleet, Rival Sons, Strats, there's a bunch of bands like that. They are sometimes. There are elements of them that are great.
Yes.
I hear some songs and I go, that's unreal. But there are elements that I get frustrated with. And I go, guys,
The Led Zeppelin thing,
mate.
The Queen thing.
It's like not only are you playing the Led Zeppelin, and I'm not even talking about Greta Van Fleet, not only are you playing the Led Zeppelin riff, but you've recorded it the same way with the same slap delay on the bloody thing. It's like, give me a break here. I couldn't live with myself.
No.
But I'm not. Those guys are doing very well for themselves, and they don't give a shit what Tim Henwood thinks.
No, that's right.
But what I think is, these bands are the start of someone coming along who's more original,
yes,
and more edgy, and more pushing the boundaries and trying some new things. But the door's being opened by these guys,
exactly.
And the record producers that are making those records, Dave Cobb, these people that are making these great records with these great bands that can play great. The guy in Rival Sons, the singer, how good's
awesome.
he?
Yeah, he's awesome.
And those Greta Van Fleet records, sometimes you hear a song and you go, "Jeez, that's really good."
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I remember the first time Shawnee from Palace played me a song. Him and I were trying to figure out if it was a joke or not.
Right.
The first time.
Yeah.
And then we went, they're not joking.
No.
Right.
These guys are the real deal.
But there's some really good shit going on.
Yeah.
Advice for young bands, mate. Now, you've seen it all. You've gone through all the changes.
From that early or late 80s, through to now. If you were starting a band now and you were 21 years old, right, and you had no contacts, no history, you didn't know anyone, how would you go about it? What would you look to be doing to be successful?
I would do what I've done with Palace for King.
Right.
Because when I first joined that band, they asked me to be their singer, and I heard their music. They sent me a bunch of music with no vocals on it.
Right.
And I knew straight away it was great. And I said, great, I'm going to write some top lines, and if you like what you hear, then let me know, we'll all do it together. So I wrote songs over the top of their songs.
Yes.
Sent them back, they loved them, we were gone, we were on.
Right.
I said, right, we need to get in a rehearsal. We did it, and there was a lot of potential there, but there was a lot of room for growth. And just in their musicianship. Songwriting was gold.
Yes.
They looked great, they had great songs, and they were great guys.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Got together and played. I mean, this is a long way from where we need to be.
Right.
So I just said to them, don't think having me come in is your ticket to the big time quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to tell anyone to come and see us now until we're good.
Yeah,
and
right.
We're not good.
Yeah, okay.
And they were kind of like, no, I'm telling you, we're not good.
Yeah.
We need to work. So we did a Tuesday night residency at Revolver for a year.
Oh, right.
Every Tuesday.
Jeez.
Didn't even have a name.
Right.
And I just knew we had to work. We had to get those boys workshopped, and I needed to work on. I'm not sure if you know or not, but it was the first time I'd ever been in a band where I wasn't playing guitar at that time. Just singing. I had to work on my stagecraft.
Yes.
And well, how am I going to do this? Am I going to feel weird about it? As it turned out, it didn't feel weird at all. It was basically, you think it's going to feel weird, and it doesn't.
No.
It's the same thing. It's just easier because I don't have to play guitar.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to do two things at once.
No. So anyway, lots of gigs. So, and I said after we do 100 gigs, I might start inviting people to gigs.
Right.
And then we did more and more gigs, and eventually we got a name. But we would play. I'm not bullshitting. We drove to Brisbane and played in a little cafe bar as big as your corner milk bar, if they exist anymore, and drove home for no money.
What?
Because we had to get to Brisbane. We had to get to Brisbane because unless people think, if you're not committed, because having someone who's been around the block like I have in your band can work two ways. It can be, people can actually cynically go, they're not going to be committed because he's not going to want to do that.
Yeah.
He's going to be lazy, fat old guy who goes, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And I went, so I need to prove to them that that's wrong. That's
Right.
bullshit. I'm committed.
Yes.
You guys need to do it to show that you're committed and that you're willing to work hard because everyone thinks the young guys don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
So we're all in it together, boys. Let's get in the van and drive to Brisbane. And we did. Mate. Even now, when Palisade things doing pretty well, we actually get paid well. Not enough to retire on, but we do okay. Last week, we supported Rose Tattoo at the Bridge in Sydney. We only had the one gig on the Friday because it was Angry's return gig after the terrible incident with his son.
Yeah.
We drove up on the Friday and did the gig and hung out and watched the tats.
Yeah.
Shook hands, kissed babies, sold a heap of merch, had a great time.
Yeah.
Got back in the car and drove home.
That's what you got to do.
I had to have a couple of coffees.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you've got to be committed.
It's
So
work.
if I was going to start a
Hard
band
work.
now, I'd just be doing what we're doing.
Right.
You have to play live.
Yes.
And then you have to, I'd also be, vinyl's a big thing, but it's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive.
If you haven't got enough money to be paying for vinyl, forget it. Don't worry about CDs, because
No.
any young band doesn't need to worry about CDs.
No.
Older bands like Electric Mary or Nick, and I'm not saying older in a negative way, I'm just saying they're from a generation where a lot of their fan base still wants CDs.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a Palace of the King gig supporting the Angels up on the northern New South Wales coast, and there was a dad there who had his daughters there, and his daughters wanted to come and see Palace of the King, and he wanted to come and see Rose Tattoo. I mean,
Right.
the Angels.
Yeah.
So they all came together.
Yeah.
And then the girls come up after the gig and were laughing at the CDs. Oh, what do you got CDs for?
What are
That's
these?
is that for the old fogies? And I said, yeah, it actually is. It's for guys like your dad.
Yeah.
Because they want CDs. They're looking at the vinyl going, I got rid of all my vinyl years ago. It's just a hassle.
Wow.
So if I was a young band now, I'd just push Spotify,
Yeah.
push your social media,
Yeah.
without being a wanker.
Yeah.
Do lots and lots and lots of gigs and get as good as you can. Because at some point, you're going to be so good that someone's going to notice. And they're going to go, you guys are great.
Yeah.
You want to come on tour with us?
Yes. And that's when you get the opportunity.
That's right. But
Yeah.
you've got to be good.
That's right. You can
Don't,
never
and
be.
don't think you can do 10 gigs and then be good.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen.
No, you've got to work at it. It's like anything.
Yeah. And I love doing it. As long as you love doing it. I love doing it. I
Yeah.
love playing.
Yeah.
It's just a no-brainer.
It's what you do.
I'm not doing it begrudgingly.
Yeah.
I love it.
You just love doing it.
Yeah. You just go, don't be afraid to work. Don't be afraid of, don't think, that's crazy, I'm not going to do that. That's what, the difference between you and the guy who succeeds is the fact that the guy who succeeds didn't go, that's crazy, I'm not going to do that. The guy who did it.
Yeah.
And everyone looked at him and went, you're crazy.
Yes.
Or something. Yeah, I am, because
Yeah.
I really won't.
Yeah. That
And
makes
the other
total
guy
sense.
goes, no, that's too hard, I'm going to stay home.
Yeah. And that's why some dudes get somewhere and some dudes don't, and dudettes.
True, and you know, and then some people are fortunate enough to just have incredible talent,
Yeah.
and end up in a band with someone who's got that crazy drive.
Yes.
And
Drags them along.
someone's got to have the drive, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's too hard to not do it. It's too easy to not do it, I should say.
Yeah. That makes perfect
You
sense.
get, and you get forgotten about quick these days.
Yeah.
People just like,
Turn around, next day you're gone.
totally.
That makes a lot of sense. This man is an extremely experienced musician who's done so many different things. And that's one of the things I really respect about you, is that you not only can you write good songs, and you're a bloody good singer and a bloody good guitar player. No worries. But you work. You're always doing something.
Yeah.
And you know, I've got utmost respect for that, and I think that people out there should look to people like Tim, because you can learn so much from guys like this, because they've done it all. So thank you, mate. Really
My pleasure.
appreciate
Thanks
you
for having
coming
me,
in
mate.
and having a chat.
Cheers.
And we didn't even talk about Kiss.
Nah, we'll do that next time. We should just do a Kiss one on its own.
Yeah, I reckon we might do another
I'll
one
meet you
later
back here,
in the year. Yeah, and we'll just talk Kiss, and that'll really piss everybody off.
I mean,
We're going to do it. Speak again soon. Cheers,
see you
guys.
guys.